You are joining Making a Difference with Melissa Clark, a new show that shares the compelling stories and voices of well-known and everyday people who change the world in big and small ways. Enjoy our guests, call in, or just listen to be inspired. For this show was made with you in mind. Please join us every Saturday at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time with our special guests. And you can listen to our recast at www.melissaclarkshow.com.
Hi, I'm Melissa Billy Clark, and thank you for tuning in to Making a Difference. Robert Funaro got his first big break on the iconic hit show, The Sopranos. Till then, his career has landed him roles next to Jessica Biel in The Sinner, Quincy Tyler Bernstine and Ray Donovan, and his latest role in The Irishman with the amazing Robert Deniro. His acting is impeccable and his hidden talent is delectable. Robert is a quintessential New Yorker and his Italian heritage shines through each dish he makes. There's an old Italian saying, cucinare con amore, which means cooking with love. And that's exactly what Robert does. You can find all of his food posts on his Instagram at Robert_Funaro. We teamed up with Foodie TV and Robert to discuss his two passions, cooking and acting. For our radio side, please head over to our YouTube channel, Melissa Billy Clark, for the visual. Check it out.
This particular dish, you can get the pasta done. This is a little bit of trick from Chef Batali. Mario Batali says, get your pasta all done because then you don't have to wait a million years when you're throwing everything together and everything. So we're going to just do that. You can use, I have small shells today, but my favorite is, I didn't have them. I used them a couple weeks back, Dtalini. Dtalini. But
what kind of pasta is that, Dtalini?
It's Dtalini is like little tubes.
Oh, okay.
They're little tubes. So we're going to throw this first, and then we'll get to the nitty gritty.
Okay, great.
To the meat of the dish. So, but
Thank
this is
you.
easy.
Thank you so much for cooking for us today.
I added the salt to the boiling water. Everyone knows that. But if you don't, you never know. You know? So we'll just throw that in there like that, like so. And we'll give it a little stir because it's going to stick. You know?
And how long does that usually take?
This take about 10, 12 minutes, all depending on how you like it. I like it al dente.
Al dente.
You know?
Tell us what al dente is for
al dente is
the Irishman.
A little slightly firm. It's not cooked through and through. So instead of 15 minutes to cook pasta, you may want to take it, taste it, because we always taste it. At about 12 or 13 minutes, you taste the pasta. And again, you feel that it's cooked, but it's not. It's edible, not hard. You know, you don't want to get anything that's hard.
Right.
At the same time, you want to kind of in your sink. I don't have to show you a colander. You want to put that in your sink, and also, what you want to do is you want to collect some of the starch water from the pasta. It's always good to have in dishes like this, these dry dishes, because if it's not soupy enough, you can just add a little bit, which we'll add in the end to the dish. And some people like a little bit of soup, and some people don't. But it doesn't the pasta water that's boiled and everything doesn't really interfere with the taste of the peas and macaronis.
Why is that? Why is that done? Because I know that Rachel Ray does that, and I started doing it because it just gives it a nice, liquidy.
Well, the starch water is boiled. There's some starch in it. It's kind of like almost like a chicken broth, only like chicken broth, but not like chicken broth. But it's just a lot better to use in your dishes occasionally if they come out a little bit. Dishes like this have a tendency for the pasta and the shells to absorb the tomato sauce and stuff like that. So we use the pound of pasta, and now we'll use 2 small onions. We'll get to the onion part, okay?
All right. So we're gonna watch you chop it, and I'm gonna start asking you some questions about.
Yeah, you can watch me chop it. These are Dione Lucas knives. I found them. My mentor, Richard Bright, who played Al Neri in The Godfather, when he passed away, God rest his soul.
Sorry.
Thank you very much. Yeah, it was a very tragic thing. He was struck by a bus on the Upper West Side and crossing the street, so that's what's made it more tragic. When he was clearing out his apartment, his wife said, I could take some of the things. So I took these and I put them down my basement, and I didn't never use them. But then I lost a knife, believe it or not, a knife that I had a couple of butcher knives, and I lost one. And I said, you know what? I'm going to go downstairs and see if I have any knives. And I found these, and they're called Diona Lucas. She was the first female to have a cooking talk show in the 1940s before the French chef. You can look her up. And she made this line of knives, you see, with the square tip. And our pasta is boiling over, but that's okay. So Diona Lucas. And I looked at their value. I mean, I would never sell them. Their value is this is like a $50 knife. They're wonderfully, and they're made with this Japanese alloy. They're made in Japan called molybdenum. It's an alloy that makes the steel quite hard and the edge stays sharp like a razor. And this is over like 30 years old. And I washed them off and they're like brand new. So I was like very happy to get this.
So tell us how it was growing up in Brooklyn.
Brooklyn was a great place. But I really enjoyed coming to Staten Island because I was able to do a lot more because it's so crowded. Even back then it was crowded.
Right.
So,
what do you think of the price of the Verrazano Bridge? Is how much without Easy Pass?
Well, I have the break because I'm a Staten Islander, so it's affordable. But if they take that back, it's going to be terrible, because now they're doing it two ways. I don't know whether or not they're charging for two ways, and we're like always looking at our pasta to make sure, and it's still cooking okay. So
right.
So it's still they're still doing it. You know what I mean? I hope it doesn't go up because it's terrible. Just people. I mean, it's crazy. Health insurance, everything's going up,
Yeah, it probably will go up. It goes up every, how many years, Robert, would you say? Every couple of years.
Every couple of years, I mean, we do get a break being in Staten Island, in Staten Island, which is a good thing.
Right.
And we only pay like $5.40 to, go over the bridge, which is great, But if that changes, it'll be better. Now, I do the traditional cut method of, I don't know if you can see it. I cut across, and then I cut the other way, and I kind of get the chop. I'm not the fancy Cuisinart guy.
How small are you making it? How small are you making the pieces?
Little cubes, and then at the end, you can't really get to the end. So you see this, and then, actually I should turn around, but I'm lefty. That's the problem. And then you're just getting these little cubes, and
are you crying at all? How come you're not crying?
No crying involved. No crying involved. I know.
Well, how come I cry? How come some of us cry?
I keep my distance like my exes. The exes that they have. I know how to keep. I've learned from my past mistakes. You keep your distance, or you're gonna wind up crying.
You're too much. That's wonderful. Now tell us, when did you get the acting bug as you're cutting the onions?
And they're chopped really nicely, and they're all done. And then what we'll do is we'll take a look at the. Always got to look at your pasta. You don't want to overcook it. You know what I'm saying? You don't want to overcook. These shells are going to cook really quick. So I'll take one. I'll taste it.
Is it al
dente? A little bit more.
Right.
But as I said, 10, 12 minutes if you're like one of these people that are like, he didn't say how many minutes. You know what I mean? He didn't say how many minutes. He doesn't give me all the.
Robert Deniro face.
So I started, my uncle, Father Funaro, he had this, he started this thing in Howard Beach called the Gratian Players, Our Lady of Grace there. In one of the churches. He was a priest to raise money for the church because his passion was theater, always theater. And he started out directing. We're adding a little bit of oil to bottom of our cast iron pan. I would say about 1/8 of an inch.
Is it olive oil?
It's the extra virgin olive oil, 1/8 of an inch. This was filled up, so now it's like half full. But about 1/8 of an inch. Don't be stingy with it because it's good. We want to heat it up, and then we'll get back to on a medium flame. And we're going to look at our pasta once more time, and I'm going to tell you I just want to get the pasta out of the way, and then everything else could be.
Sure.
Because we don't really want to overcook the pasta.
Did you ever make homemade pasta before at home?
No, I never did, but this is ready.
Okay.
And you need.
Do you like homemade pasta?
I love homemade pasta. Homemade pasta is great. Noci and stuff like that. I really want to learn how to do it. And also, I want to learn how to do gavadil. My gavadil. My grandma used to make homemade gavadil at the end of when she was really late in her life. She didn't really do it early.
Mm-hmm.
No time for that with all the kids.
Yeah.
So I'm just draining my pasta. You can't see it, but I'm draining it quite slowly because I don't want to overflow the little catch bowl I have for the starch water. I have a little catch bowl for the starch water. Can't show that, but any bowl will do to grab some starch water. And then I can actually leave it there in the sink. It doesn't matter. Or I can do this. I can take it out like so and just put it, avoid the pot because you don't want the oil to splatter. Mm-hmm. And right here is my starch water, okay? And I'll put it right here.
You use it's a lot. How much do you think that is?
It's always good. You can always throw out more. You know what I mean? It's like, here's the box. I'll throw this over here. Mm-hmm. We'll just throw that. Who cares? So, and now I got my pan with that's on a medium flame. Mm-hmm. You know? Okay, so Father Joe, I went to his plays, and finally, at the end of his career in Catholic Charity, he was the head of the Brooklyn Catholic Charities on Geralman Street. And he had these big fundraisers, plays he put on, the Music Man at Christ the King Church in Queens. And it was a lot of people. He raised a lot of money. And he also had the professional people who were part of the production come down to view the plays. I remember he had one of the writers of the songwriters of Music Man there. So you really were professional plays. A lot of people got their start. Not so many people that I know of went on to TV and everything, but they were really a really good play. So that's how I got my bug for that, and even directing, which I do from time to time. That's how it happened, Melissa, you know.
Do you remember your first paid gig that you had?
Yes, my first paid gig. Well, there were two, but one was in Montclair, New Jersey was Harry Brock in Born Yesterday. Mm-hmm. And that was my first paid gig. I was at learning at HB Studio. But then moving on from there, really the first paid gig, that I really loved was A Streetcar Named Desire, which I did with James Gandolfini. And we toured Scandinavia for 3 months. That was really my first paid gig that I really knew what I was doing. But Harry Brock and Born Yesterday, it was more of a caricature because I was quite young. That role required you to be like 50, 60 years old. You know what I'm saying? So. How
was your relationship with James?
My relationship with James?
Mm-hmm.
we had a great time in Scandinavia. We became good friends. Afterward, we really didn't keep in touch. I think we were a little bit competitive. But then I stopped. And when I came back, I decided, I met a woman in Norway, and I decided I didn't know if acting was for me, although I still dabbled in it. It was 8, 9, 10 years before James came down to Caroline's on Broadway. He remembered me through a friend who befriended him at a party. And he said, if I was you, I would try to get my friend Bobby Funaro a job on your successful Sopranos show. I said, oh, Bobby, how's he doing? And my friend Gordon, who befriended him that night at the party, told him I was
Gordon
working.
Silva?
Yes.
Yay.
Yeah, Gordon Silva. I owe a lot to Gordon. The Japanese have a thing called a giri, which is, it's an obligation to people who have helped you in your life, and like my mom and dad. Well, that goes without saying, mom and dad and all the other family members. But Gordon had the Cleones to go up to him and tell him that. And he remembered, James, that in season 3, they were casting, and he came down to Caroline's. I was down there. I was going to work. I started as a doorman / bouncer, skinniest bouncer on Broadway. The comics used to make fun of me. Bastards.
Yeah, but you're a big guy. How tall are you, Robert?
I'm 6'3". I'm going to throw the onions in. Okay, listen to that beautiful sound.
I love that sound.
You like that sound?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's making me hungry.
People who watch your show are gonna love this dish.
Authentic Italiano.
Yeah. So
who we?
James offered me, said, I can't promise you anything, but, go and see Georgianne walk in. She was actually, Caroline's on Broadway was 1626 Broadway. Georgianne was 1600 Broadway. So she was across the street. So to make a long story short, I was a manager. I had the keys to the place. When I finally got the audition, I stayed in Caroline's all night. I closed early in the morning, and I went and I auditioned for Georgianne. I really did great. And then they asked me to go to Silver Cup, and I auditioned, and I got a role, and that's how it happened for me. I had no agent. I was dabbling in acting, but not really seriously. But James remembered me. He was just one of the greatest men I ever met in my life, who had such a great heart. And he's the kind of guy like James Lipton asked him, if you were, like his last question on the Actors Studio, if you were God, if you had one thing to say to God, what would you say to him? And James said, can I take over for a while?
Really?
Because James would balance the books for everybody and just make the world a better place, and that's the way he was. God rest his soul. We lost him in 2013. The world knows how great he was, and truly how great his talent was, and more than that, how great a human being he was. And that's how really things happened for me. And from there, I just continued to work. The last thing I did was The Irishman, which was great to work with Robert Deniro.
Yes.
I know you Trump people don't like him, but listen, he is a genius. So we're just stirring these onions and frying so beautifully, and we just want to make them translucent,
Mm-hmm.
And you don't have to add anything, no salt, no pepper. You're just making these nice, on a medium flame, nice and translucent, 2 onions. Okay, and maybe perhaps I'll write this recipe out for your website or something. This way people can remember it, because I know I have to go back and remember. So
yes, please. Yeah. So now you're just making them nice and brown and caramelized.
Yeah, we're caramelizing the onions, and that is the secret to Rayo's sauce. Frank Pellegrino, who I did Lamppost Reunion with, told me it took him 6 years to develop Rayo's sauce. And I said, well, what finally did it? How come 6 years? Because we figured it out. Don't use sugar, use caramelized onions, and that made the difference. See, everybody?
Thanks for that tip.
One little ingredient can change the whole world. So now it's worth like 400, and they sold it for $400 million, I think.
Wow. So far we should get paid for the knives and for Rayo's sauce, which actually is delicious.
Yes.
And when it goes on sale, it's even more delicious.
Yeah, it goes on sale. And the great thing is, I think I think they sold the company, they still have the original recipes that Frankie developed with his chefs, so that's, you don't have to worry about it,
Well, Rayo's is very hard to get into, right? You need to be like a club member or something?
Well, the restaurant, yeah. I mean, you need to have, as people move on, there's a waiting list, and you get on the waiting list. Right now, of course, everything has changed, but there is a waiting list, and everyone has a day that they go. Like your day is Wednesdays at 7. And
yes.
Then sometimes you can give that 7 o'clock, you can raffle that off for charities, like Bo Dietl and a lot of celebrities in New York, Bo especially, do it for charities. They give it out for charity. A lot of people do that. It's great. They raffle it off, and Rails is great.
Yeah, never been, but hopefully one day
One day we'll go.
We'll get the privilege of going.
We'll go. I'll have to talk to Vinny Pastore and Stevie. My man Stevie.
Yeah.
My man Stevie Milano. So Stevie will do that.
Yeah, totally.
Now, this is frying a little bit too quick. I want to bring down the temperature because I see a little bit of brown on the onions. You really just want to make them translucent, And
I guess let's do a nice plug for Vinny. I love Vinny. Vinny Pastore's got a sauce out there.
There you go. It's very good sauce. I use it for pizza, and it's up there with Frankie Rayo's. Absolutely, they have a great recipe there at A&S in the Bronx.
Yes, A&S. I love
with Vincent's help also, because he had a hand in this too. Eating a lot of pasta, huh, Vinny?
Vinny's going to be on our show next month. He's a wonderful man, and
I owe so much to Vinny in terms of working outside of the Sopranos, because we have a theater company called the Renegade Nation Theater Company with Maureen Van Zant, who played on The Sopranos, Gabriella.
Mm-hmm.
And Vinny was a really big integral part because, you do 6 months on The Sopranos, then you're off, and you want to do something. And Vinny really helped me out. He cast me in many of his plays, his own plays, Wild Children, and Lamppost Reunion with Frank Pellegrino, which was a great production. I am going to throw the sauce, 2 cans of Hunt's or small tomato sauce. Doesn't matter, salt included. You can have salt in it, or unsalted, whatever you prefer.
I like
2
that.
Cans.
Mm-hmm.
2 cans. I don't really prefer the Hunt's. It's kind of a dark tomato sauce. I really prefer the Del Monte or the store brand. This is kind of dark, but it's what I have, so you can do what you have.
Yeah.
Now you want to do 1 cup of the sauce. You do a little transfer. I can't show you the transfer like this.
So you're putting regular water in there?
Yes, because you want to get the residue from the tomato can, and you'll add the 1 can. That's it. So that's easy. You've done that. You're going to stir it a little bit, okay? And now we're going to spice it up. 1/2 teaspoon of salt, but I'm going to do the Italian way, bam.
Mm-hmm.
And in the hand, I would say another 1/2 teaspoon of garlic powder.
Mm-hmm.
All right, and then a pinch of red pepper. Just a pinch. That's my little secret. Pinch of red pepper.
Nice.
Okay, and then we're going to add some pepper. A little bit less than a 1/2 teaspoon.
Black pepper.
Black pepper, yes, black pepper.
Mm-hmm.
McCormick's. Sorry, branding. Whatever.
I love it.
And just add a little bit more than 1/2 teaspoon. If you want to just add a little bit. Now, here's the secret to the secret is the oregano. The oregano really makes it the dish. A teaspoon. We're just going to stir it, and we're going to cook this about 15 minutes. You just want to bring it up to a boil and see that, when sauce is cooking, it kind of bubbles, and of course it bubbles, it boils, but you see the change in the color of the sauce. It gets a little yellow on top. That's when you know it's brewing. So we want to brew it for about 10 to 15 minutes, about 15 minutes brewed at a medium flame.
Okay.
And then our dish is basically going to be over. That's how easy it is. This is like a 15-minute dish.
We got to throw the peas in.
Yes, we're going to throw the peas in, but we're going to cook the sauce first.
Okay. So here, my question to you is...
So we can talk now because this is all we got to wait for this to go. All we're doing is stirring right now.
All right, let's do it. So who are your idols growing up?
Who are my idols?
Mm-hmm. Actors, artists, musicians.
Only one answer. I remember it's a little bit, I was maybe 7 years old, and my brother and I were living on 18th Avenue and Bath Avenue, 18th and Bath. My dad used to work adjacent to the house, so if we got into trouble with Mom, he would come over up the steps of a 2-family house and give us the strap. So it was the worst deal I had in terms of Dad. He wasn't working away. He was right there, so we couldn't cut it up, me and my brother. We would get punished. Yeah. But anyway, that's another story. I remember us going together, taking the bus to Avenue X, and going to a school. I used to go 216 over the Avenue X near A&S Pork Store on Avenue. Big shout out to Stevie from Avenue X Pork Store, one of the greatest pork stores, had the greatest rice pork and log bread to die for. Of course, when you're passing L&B, you may want to get a slice of pizza too, and a spumoni.
Oh, yeah.
Besides that, with Richard, my brother Richard, Dr. Funaro, my brother's a doctor, and my mom is, and God, he's doing well there.
What kind of doctor is he? He had COVID?
He's an internist. Yes, he did. He had COVID-19.
Oh,
and he was actually admitted to the hospital. So we're so glad that we have him, and everything worked out fine with him.
How is he now? Is he okay? I mean,
he's doing great, and he's saving lives. He's doing great, and he's saving lives. So anyway, getting back to the story, the buses. Take a guess how much the bus was.
Way back when?
1966. 1966.
15 cents.
You win the prize because it was 20 cents.
Ding, ding, ding.
20 cents. You win the prize. 20 cents it was. took the bus, had a transfer on 86th Street, where John Travolta did Staying Alive. We did, you know, we passed Lenny's Pizzeria. We never went there back then. I don't even know if it was open by then, but who knows? Anyway, went to this hardware store, which still exists, but it's not a hardware store anymore. It's somewhat a pseudo home, but not the same people, of course, because that was like we were 6 years old. And we went in, and it was a hardware store used to carry records. And we went and bought the Beatles' Rubber Soul. I never forget it. And you asked me who my heroes were. The Beatles were a big influence on me. I love the Beatles and of course the Rolling Stones, but they were really a big influence. In terms of acting, well, every kid wanted to be Steve McQueen, you know, or Paul Newman, you know, and they were so cool. Cool Hand Luke, Jackie Gleason, The Color of Money, The Hustler. You know, and I grew up with a lot of those films. My father and my uncle Nick loved to go to see films, and we'd always go see films. So, you know, those were my heroes. I mean, Brando came along a little bit later on for me in terms of The Godfather and stuff like that, you know. So,
what was your favorite role to play in your career?
My favorite role? Well, I mean, I have to say that, you know, in terms of like professional work, and I just want to get a little bit of a.
We're still brewing the sauce.
Yeah, I really didn't take. I guess it's been about. Let me see.
I think
it's been about it's 3:11, so it's been another 5-6 minutes on that. So
okay.
I usually, you know, I mean, what was the question again, Melissa? I'm sorry, because I'm
the question. It's okay. Who was your favorite role to play in your career?
Yeah, well, you know, professionally speaking, on Sopranos, Eugene, members only. That particular episode was, although it was nerve-wracking to have all that stuff to do, and it was a lot of pressure.
Yeah.
In the end, I really liked the performance. I think it really exuded. It breathed. I breathed a lot of life into it. Part of it was the anxiety of doing it and carrying a show.
Right.
So that helped with the acting, you know what I mean, to be a little bit unsure, and Eugene was very unsure. So I would say that was the greatest professional role I've done. But I guess my most favorite role was a guy named Abel Znorko. Was called Enigma Variations. It was about a famous writer who gave up the love of his life for his career. And in the end, she passes away, and her roommate, who happens to be gay, goes to see the writer, and he makes believe he was married to her, and he kind of reveals to him that she truly loved him and that he made the wrong choice. And he does, in the end, the cathartic thing is that he does realize that, you know, although he has all the success and fame, that he really is a lonely person, and that perhaps he should have chose love instead of ambition.
Most writers are lonely.
Yes, there you go. You're a writer too, so you know the deal. But if you ever get somebody that you truly, always make the right choice. Choose love, baby. Can't buy me love. Oh, everybody tells me so.
So can we talk about, I was very intrigued by your performance, and I know that we've spoken about this before with Eugene at the end when they killed him, and you were fantastic. So Eugene strangled himself. So what was that like?
I hung myself.
You hung yourself.
Well,
So how?
I mean, you know, I mean, here's the thing, and I speak to people. I tell them, I always go back to, like, I mean, you know, Brando always said something about On the Waterfront, the scene in the car with Rod Steiger. You know, I could have been somebody. I could have been a contender instead of I'm a one-way ticket to Palooza. It was a one-way ticket, you know. And how many people really could have been contenders, and their chance was ripped away from them? So, you know, I knew that up until members only, it was, you know, Snapple bottle to little Carmine's head. Hey, you're the guy that Snapple bottle, and that's great. You smashed them. But, you know, I think I had a little bit more substance to myself in terms of what to do. And I was just so happy to get that script. And because I knew that a guy that wants to get out, how many people want to get out of their situations?
Yeah.
They're even now, and God bless everybody, don't do what Eugene did because there's help on the way. But,
Yeah.
you know, they
Don't
want to
check
get out
out.
of this. They want to get out of their situation. So that alone is a human condition. And Brando said, well, everybody could have been a contender. So I said, well, this is a good script because a lot of people are going to identify. And Brando also said that if any other actor did it, they would have been remembered too. Maybe not as well as him and his craft. He was a genius. But they would have remembered because of that human. People identify. And that's what great drama does. It makes you think about, you know, how you live and your choices in life.
Mm-hmm.
So that was really the thing with members only. And I mean, the rest is, you know, I did it and you know what I mean? So
how was that scene? How did they do that scene? And how did you prepare for that mentally?
well, I need a drink for that. Hold on a second.
Okay.
Ooh. Coquito. Little
Coquito.
Junior, my man Junior's Coquito, Junior Torres. Anyway, we're almost done with this. Hold on a second. I want to just say one thing. I'm going to get back to the people coaching. 2 cans of peas, any kind of cans of peas. One with the juice, right? And the other one, we're going to drain the juice. This is my sister's thing. She drains 1 can. Sister Annie.
Interesting.
She drains 1 can. And she puts the other can in. So now we put that in, and we're going to simmer it. We're just going to simmer it. We got to cook the peas, so we got to simmer. It's going to change a little color. We're going to cook the peas, and Mama adds just a little bit of something. I'm going to do for Mama's sake.
I would never think of adding the water.
Little pecorino romano, just a little bit. Boom, and boom. Just like that.
I would never think of adding the pea sauce in the.
What do you mean? The pea sauce, yeah. Well, you want to get it a good consistent, gives it a nice flavor, Melissa, you know? So we'll stir that, and now we're good.
And thank you for all your information on your acting career. And I know that you love music. So tell us about your music, because you're.
Well,
where does music take you? Because I know you like classical. I know that you're into all the.
I'm into all forms, all forms of music, opera, Pavarotti, classical, Moonlight Sonata. You know, I mean, they all kind of fit into one. They all come together in terms of creating mood, feeling. I mean, everyone can identify this whole COVID crisis. I've been listening to a lot of music.
Yeah.
As a matter of fact, I kind of post on my Facebook page I've got about 230 songs. I'm about 40 days behind, but I started late, and then there's days that you don't feel like doing it and everything. But I try to listen to Little Steven's Underground Garage. It's for the oldies and for him, because he has a class, his band, you know. Little Steven and the Soul and his Soul group, they're great. And of course, Bruce, the E Street Channel I listen to. And I do like Spectrum, the Spectrum channel on Sirius Radio, because they have a lot of new artists. And I always like being up on the new artists. I'm just not stuck in the past. I love the past, like Led Zeppelin and stuff like that. Or Stained and, you know, I mean, Pearl Jam and all those things. But, you know what music does? It's like, I think Shakespeare said it. It does something to the soul. I forgot there was a soliloquy in one of his plays. Could be The Merchant of Venice, I'm not sure. But anyway, so yeah, I do love music. I love seeing live music. I saw Chris Cornell from Audio Slave, who passed away, who died of suicide. But he was a great singer. I saw him at Roseland.
He died a couple of years ago, right?
Roseland Ballroom. I think it was the Ballroom. Roseland Ball. It was a great concert, and he was a great performer. Tom Morello, the Foo Fighters, you know, Dave Grohl, all those guys, even, you know, Kurt Cobain. So, you know, it's all good stuff, you know?
Yeah. Well, thank you for sharing your music with us. So what is your next move? Do you have any new projects coming up?
Well, besides auditioning, and there have been really very few auditions, and now with everything shutting down, and a lot of the production companies are just hedging their bets and just opening up in January, maybe February. Hopefully things get going by March, April. I've been working on a play called Paulie Walnuts is my barber. No pun to Paulie, the real Paulie Walnuts. The guy is a barber, but he doesn't like to be called Paulie Walnuts. It's about this this man who is he has a kind of a crew. You know, I play Jackie, and he has a crew, and but he has a young girl that lives with him who perhaps he likes younger women, and he did have a relationship with her at one time, but she's kind of a misfit, you know. But eventually she grows out of the whole thing. He's kind of older and everything, and she goes on the lam, and he gets bent out of shape about the whole thing, and he has his friends who try to placate him and try to help him, and his lawyer and stuff like that. In the meantime, he's had a lot of past loves that never really worked out. And the cathartic thing is that they have this big climactic scene in the end between them both, Jackie and what the fuck? too much coquito. And Frankie, and Jackie and Frankie, so they kind of in the end they have this big climactic scene, and she does move on, you know, and he has to accept the fact that, you know, he's gotten older and his chance, just like Abel's Norco, he's lost his chance. But he's still, the only difference between this and Abel in Enigma Variations is that he still has his friends. The Italians were great in that way, that we still have friends. And I want to just lower this a second because it's boiling a little bit too much. It's kind of almost ready to be thrown. So anyway, he had this big scene, and she leaves. And she's kind of like an artist and everything, and she's kind of, you know, I guess it's like a Drea Di Matteo, you know, but she's living with with him, and their relationship has not really been anything intimate for a while,
right?
But they have built up, and it's always like when you connect like that, you always build up this like a relationship with someone, and she sticks around because she really needs him to support him. He supports her.
Yeah,
he's got a lot of money. He's kind of a little bit slightly connected, and he's a singer. His name is Jackie Palermo. He's a lounge singer. It's kind of and he's done some films with Martin Scorcese. A little bit like Bo Dietl. He's done some films with him, and that's a subplot that Scorsese's casting a film, and that kind of saves him in the end. His career is saved. I don't want to give the ending, but that's what it's about. And his friends and Gordon plays his close friend. And
is this a play that you directed, or you're just
no? Frank is directing it.
Oh, okay.
He's written and he's directed. So we want to try to get it up once, or maybe do it for film, like a TV film, sometime when this whole crisis is over with, when we can do it. You know. Okay. Paulie Walnut. So that's the next project, I suppose. Just keep on auditioning too. You know. So. Yeah.
Well, we wish you luck with that, and thank you very much.
Listen, we're gonna throw this pasta because it's
all right. Let's do it. I can't wait to see this.
And the pasta's kind of got hard a little bit, and I use my hands because all Italians use their hands.
That's right.
Don't let them fool you. You know, the French chef, she uses a little bit of a spoon. We use this a nice spoon.
Oh, you don't have a wooden spoon? Come on, I got a wooden spoon.
No, I got a wooden spoon, but I wanted to use my hands. I wanted to get it over with, kind of.
I love it.
And now we're going to just leave the gas on and put it together a little bit, and let it saute just a bit, and let the pasta kind of. Let me give you a close up a little bit on this.
Thank you. It looks so good.
You see that pretty good there now?
Yes. Oh my God.
That's all the juices, the peas, and everything, and
I'll have my water.
Okay, you have your water. But that's
God, does that look good?
Yeah, it's very good.
And what is this called?
Peas and macaronis. Well, I guess you don't want to say onions. It's just peas and macaroni. Onions is an integral part of it, you know?
Yeah.
Now, it's a little bit sticky. It's a little sticky there, so, you know, I can add a little bit of starch water to it, like a goupine.
Beautiful.
A little goupine of starch water, just to give it a little bit of juiciness. Not a lot. You don't want to overdo it with the starch water because you don't want to lose that flavor.
Right.
You know? But we were cooking this a little bit longer because I was talking and I wanted to add a little bit more juice to it. You know what I'm saying?
You guys, this looks so good. You have to head over to my YouTube channel, Melissa Billy Clark Show, so you can see Robert in action.
We'll throw a little cheese on there, and we're done. And when you serve it in. It's important that you serve it. I got this from Joe Gandolfini, because Joe is a terrific chef from Brooklyn, from Bay Ridge. He had a restaurant called 101, and he does private events, private things in Long Island. Joe Gandolfini, who played Vito Spaffatore, and he always served at his restaurant the dishes in the cast iron pans. And I thought that was just such a great idea, like a common, it's a common dish. And he served dishes such as this in these pans. Here we go.
Delicious.
All right.
Delicious.
Okay, Don.
I wish I can taste them. It's so good. I'm still waiting for my invitation for the rest of the food.
You're going to come. You're definitely, I want you to come. Once this is over, you come out.
Yeah, I know. We have to be careful with Mama.
Yes.
So this is so amazing. Please head over to Robert's Instagram, Robert_Funaro, Funaro, and you can see all of his dishes.
It was a pleasure cooking for you, Melissa.
Thank you.
And for all of America, I wish you the best with your new Making a Difference, and you are.
Thank you very much.
God bless.
If you have a vegan product, make your vegan claim official with the only accredited vegan trademark in the world. Visit www.beveg.com. That's www.beveg.com to apply now. Making a Difference is sponsored by Preferred Health Magazine. Please visit www.preferredhealthmagazine.com today and subscribe.